Hey, it's Six Stones, and today we are going to be doing a tier list ranking Shadow of the Erdtree Remembrance bosses. Is this very late in comparison to the release of Shadow of the Erdtree? Yes. Do I care? No. We're gonna do it anyway, because I just did a Martial Arts New Game Plus playthrough, and Radahn nearly made me cry. So, we're doing this, because I have opinions and I want to talk about it. I also did say in the last video I was going to do a boss ranking video, so here it is as promised. Now, in that video I already explained the type of Elden Ring player I am, the type of Souls player I am when it comes to FromSoft and all of that. But I have done 3 playthroughs now of this game. One, your initial first playthrough, where it's just semi-blind, and you use whatever weapons you like and so forth and yada yada. Didn't really use summons for the DLC though, besides NPCs in case they will link to quests or something. And even then, I kind of stopped using NPC summons for a bit because they were kind of terrible. Second playthrough, completely guided playthrough, made sure I didn't miss any secrets, any quest steps, and did it in an order that made sense to me chronologically in a story-wise and in a progression sense as well when it comes to the quests and stuff. Also, that one, 0 summons. No summons at all, apart from to fight Leda, because I ain't getting jumped like that and not using the anti-jump tools. Third playthrough I decided to do, don't know why I did this to myself, but it was a New Game Plus martial arts only run. It was fun at first, then I fought Radahn. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, let's get into the tier list. So just to make things clear for how I am doing this tier list, I will be going in the order of how I fought the bosses on my second playthrough from what I roughly remember, because I thought that was the most enjoyable progression of fighting the bosses out of all 3 of my playthroughs. And I will be ranking these bosses in terms of everything that encompasses a boss. So lore, art design, character design, difficulty, moveset, cinematics attached to that boss if there is any, presentation, all of that stuff that encompasses a boss, I will use to overall judge where I sit them in this tier list. Just so we're clear with how I'm doing this. So the first boss I am going to be ranking is the first boss I fought in all of my playthroughs. The Divine Beast Dancing Lion. I really like this boss. I would give this boss a solid A tier. I think it's one of the better bosses in the game. Great introduction boss to the DLC. Showcases the culture of this place that we're in. It showcases the difficulty that we're going to be going through pretty well in this DLC. Showcase how the bosses are going to be a lot more aggressive, and they're not really going to give us a chance to do a whole lot. You're going to be on your toes. And I do like that. I feel like the moveset is, for the most part, fair, but challenging at the same time. It's a very cool moveset. I like the switch between the elements. I think that's really nice. Spectacle is very well done. I also like the introduction to the boss through the opening cutscene for it. Once again, displays that culture a bit more, gives us a bit more lore and how they feel about this dancing lion thing, and then you get an idea that like, okay, this is a representation of their culture but has been used for martial means, which you can get from the lore of the actual boss's remembrance itself. Only issues I have with this boss are the arena, maybe a tad bit too small, maybe it should be a tad bit bigger, and I don't like that half of the arena is in pitch black darkness. It makes it kind of hard to see the attacks until he's shooting lightning where it's literally glowing and you can see it, and the ice ones where it's pretty much glowing and you can see it, but sometimes it makes it hard to see. And then due to the size of the arena, you get backed into a corner a lot and the camera can mess you up pretty badly. In terms of difficulty, first time I fought it, it was pretty difficult. I didn't have the right Shadow Tree levels and stuff, so it was kind of tricky. But second time, beat it first try with the backhand blades. Thought it was very easy that time, didn't expect to beat it first try. And then the last time, took me a minute with just martial arts. Martial arts are not very good against that boss, to be honest. I found it a little bit tricky, but didn't take me as long as my first try. It wasn't too bad. So yeah, I'd give this boss an A ranking. Great design, great lore, great introduction to the DLC. Solid A tier boss. So next we got Rilana, the Twin Moon Knight. Now, Rilana I am going to be also putting in the A tier, just under the Divine Beast. For one reason, really, I have her just lower than the Divine Beast within this tier, is the lack of a cutscene. Now, I think Rilana is great moveset-wise. I enjoy her moveset. I think she's fun to fight. She's difficult to fight, but not ridiculously difficult. She has like interesting roll catch moves. I like the moveset of her weapons with the magic and the fire, the moon move attack that she has, and then obviously the big sword attack that she has. I think her moveset's all really cool. I love the design of her. I love her armor. It's one of the best looking armors in the game. The weapons that you get from her were my go-to weapons for my whole first playthrough on the DLC. I used them the most out of all of the weapons that were added to the DLC in the first playthrough I did. Such cool weapons. My only issue is the lack of a cutscene. The fact that this boss doesn't have a cutscene or any voice lines really bothers me. This is a boss that is the twin sister of Runala, a remembrance boss in the base game, who also had a full-on cutscene and has a lot of lore attached to her, but Runala gets nothing. The lore is really good, like her being super loyal to Mesmer and everything, probably maybe in love with him. I don't know, I would probably think so, but she gets no voice lines and no cutscene, and it kind of just makes her feel like a glorified carrion knight that's kind of empty and a little bit soulless, and I don't like that at all. Kind of takes a lot of personality away from the fight when she doesn't even speak to you. And you could have added something like a little cutscene of her getting off the chair that she has in her room now and just picking up her blades and talking about, I won't let you get to Mesmer, as this is my role that I have been given, or something like that. And just throughout the fight saying you're not worthy to get near him or something like that. Anything. And it's so easy. And the fact that people have found voice lines for her in the damn files, she even has a voice actor, and it's just not used, really bothers me. It's an issue I have with a lot of these bosses. But I would still say she's A tier because I enjoy fighting against her quite a bit. I find her lore cool, her design's sick, and her weapons are dope that you get for them as a reward, so I have her in the A tier. Alright, moving on to Bale, the Dread. I think that's what they called him. I'm going to be putting Bale in B tier. B for Bale. That's why. That's it. Moving on. Nah, I'm kidding. The reason I have Bale in B tier and not in A tier, which you guys are probably looking at me crazy for putting him in B tier, because he is a really cool boss fight. Fantastic design. Visually very sick boss fight. Probably my favorite. Well, not my favorite. One of my favorite bosses on a visual spectacle level. Fire lightning is such a badass concept. The lore behind him finding Placidusas is sick. The fact that you can see the evidence of the lore just in his character design, peak. All of that is peak. But the one thing, and makes me drop it down to B tier, is the damn lock-on and the damn camera. The fact that I can barely enjoy the spectacle of the fight because of the camera, and the fact that I cannot lock on to this boss because it's a hindrance to me hitting the damn thing to have a lock-on on him, is ridiculous. Whoever decided that this dragon, of all the dragons, should not have a body lock-on and a head lock-on needs to be questioned. Because every other dragon you can usually lock onto the head and you can lock onto the body, so that way it's easier to hit him. It makes sense because you're moving around his body a lot, right? Or you can hit the feet and stuff, right? Or the wings for lesser dragons. But for some reason, Bale, they were just like, oh, you can only lock onto his head. It kind of forces you to try and go for his head, right? Because you do get more damage if you go for the head, which makes sense. But it's just not safe to go for the head. It is way easier and way safer and more logical to go for his body and his legs. But because I can't lock onto his body, I keep whiffing because the character doesn't want to attack the body, and then I have to predict movements based off timing in my mind and pure mental visualization rather than be able to actually look at the boss for when he dashes away to do certain attacks to figure out his movements. I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't like that I can barely look at him because of the damn camera. And that really ruins the fight for me. Fighting him with martial arts only was really bad. It was one of the things that racked up a lot of deaths for me because it does barely any damage. So any of you that have an idea of doing that for a playthrough, Bale might be a pit stop for you. Just a warning. Alright, now we have the Putrescent Knight. I hope I'm saying that properly. Yeah, the Putrescent Knight's going in D tier. I don't like the Putrescent Knight fight. That might be controversial. Yeah, he has a somewhat cool design. Not my favourite design out of the bosses that we've gotten. And it's kind of interesting that I didn't know this, but apparently the skeleton on top and the skeleton on bottom are both horses. I don't know if that's true, but somebody told me that, and that's pretty cool. But I find this boss fight really boring. I think the moveset is really boring. He has an annoying attack that's literally there just to delay the fight and make it longer and doesn't have any way of punishing it, which I don't like at all. His fire is weird in the way it moves. Like, the timing's really odd to dodge it. I figured that out because it wasn't that hard a boss to deal with, but he's not fun to fight. You can barely hit him because he's moving so often. A lot of it is just you dodging and then attacking and hoping you tag the back of his horse to get some damage in. And then he's another voiceless entity type boss, which I'm not really a big fan, as you can probably tell from how I spoke about Rolana, of voiceless bosses. Yeah, I don't like Protector Knight, and he's going in D tier. You can fight me if you don't like it. The next boss on our tier list is Erdtree Avatar. Yeah, he's also going in D tier. Well, I say he. It is going in D tier. And I feel like this one isn't too much of a surprise. I don't know a lot of people that do really like this boss fight. Now, just to get things straight, the design of the boss is really cool. Yeah, it's a big evil sunflower, but it's a creepy big evil sunflower, and I think that's kind of cool how they turned the sunflower into a boss and made it kind of cool with the thorns and everything. The moveset is cool in the sense that it fits the theme of the boss, but it's not really that exciting to fight against. The thorn hitboxes are kind of weird. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm definitely not supposed to be hit because you can see the glowing yellow stuff in the ground, and it's like, okay, don't stand in the glowing yellow stuff because the thorns are going to come out of there, right? Sometimes I'll be standing in the one area that has no yellow stuff in it and I still get hit because the hitboxes are just really stupid. So I don't really like that. And then there's the fact that it's basically just you fight the same boss 3 times. First time it's super weak, second time it's stronger, last time it's a bit stronger but it explodes and it's super weak because you can hit his head. And all you really need to do is just, the first 2 times I fought it, I had fire damage. I used Mesmer's spear and just obliterated the thing. Instant. Just wiped him out each time. It was so fast, it felt like nothing. And then the last time with martial arts, I just put fire on my fist and then also messed him up pretty quickly. It's just kind of a meh fight. Not really exciting. I don't really care to learn about it too much lore-wise. I don't even think there's that much lore about it. I don't hear anybody talk about the lore for it. Just a very okay boss, in my opinion. So, D tier. And another one for D tier. We're just getting all of D tier out the way. And my least favourite boss in the entire DLC, Commander Gaius. I hate Commander Gaius. I hate him with a passion. He stinks. He's a stinky boss. Stinky boss. I think everyone is aware of that. I don't think I've seen a single person online say, Commander Gaius is gas. No, I hate that man. Right? It's not that his boss fight is particularly ridiculously hard or anything. I just don't like fighting him. One, because, first off, people seem to look at me weird when I say this. I had an easier time on my first attempt fighting him on horse. And horse combat isn't the most exciting thing in Elden Ring, let's be honest, so I didn't really enjoy it that much. I also fought him on feet in my martial arts playthrough, and yeah, I can see why people enjoy fighting him on foot, like, it might find it easier fighting him on foot. I hate his charge attack. His charge attack has such a weird hitbox. It's just, you gotta dodge so late to not get hit by that thing. It is really weird. And then there's the fact that, also, like Rolana, suffers from the issue of being a really important character lore-wise, but doesn't get a cutscene or any voice lines. Now, I don't need every boss to have a cutscene, but I expect bosses that are important to the lore in a way to at least have voice lines. This man was supposedly best friends with Radahn and good buddies with Mesmer, and they were all just vibing apparently, but we don't get any sense of that. To me, he's a glorified tree sentinel that has a pig and gravity magic. That's all I feel about with Commander Gaius. Design-wise, I think he's kind of ugly, but it's cool, but like I don't really feel anything for it. It doesn't appeal to me, design-wise. His movesets look cool. I don't like Commander Gaius. I don't like him. He's a D tier boss. Alright, now it's time for Meta. Meta's going in C tier. Meta, the mother of fingers. Now, I think Meta's cool with the fact that she's attached to a quest, so the lore behind her is interesting, and you get some really interesting lore reveals attached to Meta, which stops her from going any lower on this list because the lore attached to her is really good. Design-wise, I kind of like the design of her. It's kind of creepy. I like that finger motif, being the mother of fingers and stuff. Kind of ugly though, but moveset-wise and as a boss fight, kind of meh. It's just a lot of her smacking her weird finger head, swiping her hands. And then she gets some, like, cool space magic, but it doesn't really amount to much because you can kill her so easily. She's also a very easy boss. I feel like she's a boss that's definitely hard carried by lore for me. So that's why she goes in C tier, because everything else for me, for her, is kind of meh. Now, we have, as you guys know, if you've watched my previous video, I share of the Erdtree review. Subscribe if you haven't already, by the way. Did I say that? Did I say subscribe? Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like the video so far, please leave a like. I appreciate that. But my favorite boss, Mesmer the Impaler, baby. This boss is top tier to me in just about every way. His cutscenes are dope. His character design is dope. His voice acting is dope. His moveset is sick. 2 phases, both badass. Everything about this boss I like. The aesthetic, the lore behind him. The lore behind Mesmer is so good. He's honestly one of my favorite characters in the Elden Ring universe. You don't understand. And the fact that we went from, in the intro to the DLC, from the trailers, we all thought Mesmer was going to be this evil, tyrannical, dictator type character or whatever. And then you get to the DLC and it's like, he just really loves his mother, man. His people went through a lot. He really loves his mother. And he's going to do anything for his mother. That's all. He's a mama's boy. And I respect that because I'm a mama's boy. So I relate to him. Not the impaling people part, but the mother part. Or the snake in the body. That's a little weird. But I relate to everything else. But yeah, his moveset is really fun to fight. He's not the hardest boss. He can be tricky definitely on a first playthrough. But once you learn him, it's actually not that difficult. He gets pieced up by martial arts, by the way. You hit him with that whirlwind kick, he's going to get messed up. His moveset's really good. It's satisfying to play against. It's fun to play against. The cutscene, I could recite to you the cutscene word for word, bar for bar off the top of my head right now. I'm not going to do it though, but I could. Just know that I could. Just know that I could. Yeah, I love everything about Mesmer, and that's why he's easy S tier. Easy S tier. Easiest S tier of my damn life. Also, the impale, the grab, the sound on... I can't even get mad when I get grabbed anymore and impaled by that spear because the sound design on it is so... It just hit different, you know? It just... like, it hit different. So, yeah. We have another boss that I also really like. This might be my second favorite boss in the DLC. Midra, Lord of the Frenzied Flame. Same as Mesmer, everything about this boss is cool. Moveset, sick. Cutscene, sick. Area leading up to the boss, amazing. Lore on the boss, phenomenal. Design, I was going to say something crazy, but design is gas, right? Everything about this boss is just amazing in terms of presentation. He doesn't have any voice lines in his boss fight, but he doesn't need the voice lines, because you have the cutscene behind it that enhances it. And then, obviously, it's the Frenzied Flame. This is the closest thing to an Elder God that we fought, I believe. I don't think the Elden Beast... The Elden Beast might be the closest. I'm not sure if it counts as a full-on Elder God. I think the Lord of Frenzied Flame is closer to an Elder God actually making manifestation into our world. I don't know. I'm not the lore guy. I don't know everything about the lore. I ain't Varty out here. His lore is really cool. I think another thing that makes his boss fight so great is just that it feels very good to learn his moveset. It feels very good to dodge his attacks. And despite it being a smaller, more humanoid boss, there's a level of spectacle to the boss fight that is also just very awesome, very epic. But then it's also technically very well done, very satisfying in terms of a moveset. I feel that way about Mesmer, that's why he's in S tier. I feel that way about Relana, that's why she's in A tier. And I feel like a lot of humanoid bosses, that is usually the case. Moving on from Midra in S tier, we're going to go down to C tier to place Romana. Romana, I think visually, very cool boss fight visually. I like her design a lot. The centipede fused into a scorpion is such a cool idea. And then with her fused onto it, riding it, basically, but it's literally a part of her body at the same time, and she's like the bud coming from it, hence her name, the Scarlet Bud, is such a cool idea and such a great design. Whoever was the concept artist on that deserves a raise. But despite the visual motif being great, I didn't even talk about her moveset when it comes to the visual motif. I love the butterflies, the scarlet butterflies. Such a great idea. Beautiful, right? All of that is great. I feel like for me, it just comes from... She's very easy. She's a very, very easy boss fight. Like, pushover boss fight. Kind of just breeze through her. And then there is just the fact that I also feel let down by the fact that she also has no voice lines and no cutscene, despite her having, apparently, some very interesting lore. Now, we also have for Romana voice lines that have been data mined. We know that she had a voice actress. We know that she has voice lines. I'm pretty sure someone has actually gotten the very voice line and you can hear it on YouTube. You can go find that yourselves. It sounds cool. Don't know why they didn't put that in the boss fight. I feel like that would have helped to enhance the boss fight a lot. And then the fact that apparently she's in the trailer. She's in the trailer for the DLC. And it sets up this really interesting thing of her in the DLC. It's like, oh, who was the woman in the DLC with the thing? And it looks like that was Romana. You don't learn really anything about her besides the little bit you get from the remembrance, really. And you don't get a cutscene, which I don't think you need a cutscene for Romana. But at the very least, I would like some voice lines. Some voice lines talking about her defending the church. I believe she was a part of a church and Mesmer burnt it down in the Purge, right? You could have had some voice lines, some really cool voice lines of her talking about how she's going to defend the church or how she's a servant of the Scarlet Blood. Give her a really creepy voice. This really creepy godlike voice that's like possessed by this Scarlet Rot entity or something like that. Or just her thinking that you're another one of Mesmer's men coming to burn down what she's been protecting, and she just automatically thinks that of you. And it's like, I won't let this happen again. I won't let you do this again, or whatever. Anything like that to just enhance the boss fight would have been nice. And I probably would have moved that from C tier straight to either B, and maybe even A tier. If you really cook. If you cook with a cutscene or cook with some voice lines, maybe even A tier. But for now, it's C tier. Last but not least, we have Promised Consort Radahn. Now, I'm going to be putting Promised Consort Radahn in B tier. And I am aware that Radahn has recently been nerfed. As a recording of this video, he has been nerfed. So a lot of things have changed according to his boss fight. And if I had experienced that version of the fight, I probably would change my rating of the boss. I haven't though, so I can only go off the rating of what I have played. Now, based off the version I played, pre-nerf Radahn, the reason I have him in B tier is, well, let's talk about the positives of the fight. Visually, very cool. Very cool to see a Prime Radahn fight, just on a visual spectacle level. Like the gravity attacks, the giant swords, everything's really cool. The arena's really cool looking with the gate for the Ascension for Godhood for Miquella. Radahn wearing Miquella as a cape, a god as a cape, is pretty badass if you ask me. And even like the light attacks are pretty cool and stuff. All of it is very cool visually. And I think design wise, his armor and everything. He had a cool design in the first version of him in the base game. He has a cool design here, right? I also find first phase of his fight very fun to fight against. It's very enjoyable. Yeah, there's the cross slash, which is a very annoying move. And that's something I'm kind of glad they nerfed, because it seems a lot more manageable now, and it makes sense to be able to actually dodge, as before it was like illogical how you would dodge it because you just couldn't. Yeah, you could take a little bit less damage from it, but you were always going to get hit by it regardless. And if you did dodge it, it was usually like a fluke most of the time. Like I didn't know how I dodged it and not get hit by anything whenever I did. I don't think that's good design. I don't think that should be the case when it comes to a boss fight. But yeah, those are positives, and I do actually like his moveset in the second phase, but obviously there's issues with the visuals that make it hard for you to fully enjoy the moveset in that phase, which I do think they have rectified in the nerf from what I've seen from videos. My issues came with this fight is in the second phase, you cannot see a damn thing. You're constantly being flashbanged by the light attacks. Even though the light attacks look cool on the spectacle level, it makes it really hard to visually understand the movements, and you're not reading Radahn as a boss. You're not reading Radahn and Miquella as a boss. You're just hoping, after going through it so many times, that you've got it mentally locked in your brain how these attacks look roughly, that you can dodge them pure off mental imagery alone. And that's not the best. This is also an issue caused by Miquella's hair. There's a lot of times when you dodge around Radahn and Radahn goes for an attack, you don't know what attack he's about to do because you physically cannot see it because the hair is so big and in the way. And that's also a problem. And those are all things that they have addressed in the nerf. I've seen the video of the nerf. The visual clutter looks so much less and it feels so much better that honestly, if I played the nerfed version now and I was rating it based off that, I would probably move this fight to A tier. Because overall, I enjoy the fight. Despite the frustration, I enjoy like getting better and better and better at a fight, and it feels good when you finally beat it each time. Maybe not the martial arts time. At that point, I was like, I don't want to ever play this game again. But that's because I played Elden Ring like 3 times, and I did that 2 times, like almost back to back in the same few span of months. But anyway, I also like I like the grab mechanic. I think the grab mechanic is really cool. It's not a hard move to dodge, but the fact that it's a 2-shot kill is kind of cool, and I like that it incorporates Mikkel into the fight. One of my other major issues though with this boss, and honestly with the ending of the DLC as a whole, and why this boss could never go to S tier for me, is despite the cutscenes being really cool visual and pretty badass, the lore that they give you in those cutscenes is kind of redundant. So we already knew about halfway through the DLC that Mikkel had revived Radahn to make him his lord using Mohg's body and his soul. Alright, Arnspark figured that out about halfway through the DLC when you get into the Shadowkeep. Alright, understood. You go to the final boss. Even leading up to the final boss, Leda is trying to stop you from his ascension to Mikkel's ascension to godhood. So it's like, okay, yeah, he wants to become a god. We got it. You go into the final boss, you get a cutscene introducing his consort, Radahn. Okay, I get it. It's the introduction of the boss. We get it. He's your consort. I knew that about 2 times over already. And you've gone to the gate to become a god. Alright, cool. Second cutscene for the second phase. He comes out the gate. Okay, you've come out the gate because you were sent to godhood. Got it. And he comes forth and he tells you again that Lord Radahn is his promised consort and you should give the way to him so he can become god and make a better world, which we already understood. We all gathered that already, if you just have a brain. I was like, okay, you just repeated the same thing to me twice. Great. And then when you beat the boss, you get another cutscene, which is Mikkel on the ground begging Radahn to become his lord because he's going to become a god. Like, I didn't get that the past 5 times you've told me throughout this DLC that is what he wants to do. I did not need the final cutscene of the DLC, the ending of the DLC, to just be you telling me the exact same thing I already understood. And that is why this boss fight is in B tier, and after the nerf, it will only go up to A tier, because it's just not a good ending to the DLC in my opinion. It's very lackluster in an ending to the DLC, and that sours my taste of the boss overall. But anyway, that's the conclusion of the tier list. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like. Will I do more tier list videos? We will see. But thank you for watching, and I hope you have a very balanced